Okay, great. Okay. Since we're starting this late, I'm just sharing these slides, the agenda that we've already reviewed, so that anybody watching this recording can see it. Talking a little bit about why we're sharing this information. We want to educate everybody. We want to make sure that all the merchandise out there follows our brand standards. And we know that there's misinformation that's being shared, and a lot of club members don't realize that we have a licensing program. So what's a brand? A brand is a perception, a feeling, a stake in the ground. So it's not a logo, it's not the color scheme, it's not a tagline. It's really how people experience Stony Brook University. That's what our brand is. So it's everything from how they interact on campus, in classrooms, in research facilities, when they visit our website, when they see our communications or go to our events. And it's brought to life, how it's brought to life captures our vision, our momentum, and our passion as a world-class public research university. And it's really important that we maintain a consistent and powerful brand identity. And it takes a lot of attention to detail to do that. And we want to make sure that we're presenting the Stony Brook brand in the best, most engaging and appropriate way possible at all times. So that's really part of the reason why we have a licensing program. So what are Stony Brook's trademarks? Our trademarks include, but are not limited to, the names Stony Brook University, Stony Brook Medicine, Stony Brook Children's, and anything that includes these names and these words, and also our graphic trademarks like our shields, our interlocking SB, our Wolfie, all of our logos, the full Stony Brook logo that you see at the top of this page. Those are some of the things. So a lot of people think that it's really just the logos and not the names, but it's both. So if someone wants to include the word Stony Brook University on a t-shirt or something, that still falls under the category that needs to follow our guidelines for trademarks. And why is it important? So we want to protect the integrity of our institution's trademarks and ensure that our trademarks are used in an appropriate way. And we want to present our trademarks as a reflection of the Stony Brook brand. And also Fair Labor Association. This is really important. We want to do business with vendors who subscribe to moral and ethical principles in conducting their business. So we want to make sure that they're respecting, following fair employment standards and respecting workers' rights. They're not using sweatshops. So that's really important. So if you go out and you work with a vendor that isn't licensed, there's always a chance that they might not be following those guidelines that we adhere to. And the other thing is that there are royalties, and those royalties go towards student scholarships, which we think is really important. So how do you purchase branded merchandise? First of all, I'm going to show you on our brand site. I'll tell you where you can go on our brand site that can bring you to this spot in case you don't remember to go to CLC. CLC is our licensing partner. And if you go to clc.com and go to find a product, you can then enter Stony Brook University over here, hit the search, and you will get all the vendors that are licensed for Stony Brook. If you have a particular product in mind, you could also type that product into the pick a product category and then put Stony Brook University, and hit search. And the vendors that carry that particular product, if you're looking for a mug, you could type in mug and Stony Brook University, and that'll bring up the list of vendors. You can also reach out to us if you're having a hard time narrowing things down and you want some guidance and some help from us, you can do that. Okay, sorry, this keeps flipping around. Okay, so this is what you really want to know. This is the process. So all the vendors that are licensed, they have access to all of our approved marks, and a student or their licensed vendor would create a design. So as a student, you might create something, or you might go to the vendor and say, we're looking for shirts and we want to have the Stony Brook logo here. And, you might explain to them what you're looking for, and they could create a design and they would share it with you. that design is shared with me and my team also for review through our licensing partner through CLC. And we review all the art to make sure that it follows our brand guidelines. And that comes through that system, and we review it. And if it meets the guidelines, then we will give official approval through the web platform, which is called Brand Manager 360. And once it's approved, the order can be produced, as long as you've approved the art from the vendor and we approve the art. If we have concerns about the art, if there's something about it that doesn't meet our standards for some reason, we will either provide feedback directly to the student on the phone or via email, or to the vendor through Brand Manager, and we'll work back and forth until the art is approved. So if it's something that's like very minor, we might just go to the vendor and say, oh wait, you should really do this, or like say they have like a logo on something and it's like really huge and we think it doesn't look right. You might say, oh, can you just make it a little bit smaller? And that vendor will always go back to you as their customer and show you any changes and get your approval on it. If it's something that's a little bit more extensive that we know that we don't want to say to the vendor, change this, and then they send it back to you and you're like, what happened? This doesn't look like what I wanted. So if it's something that's extensive, we would reach out to you and talk to you and just explain what the reasons are for any changes that we would recommend. We might provide some art, or we might give guidance to the vendor, and then we just go back and forth until it's approved. A really important point that I want to make is a lot of times students are working on fundraisers and they might create a design and share it with a whole bunch of students in their group, and they get buy-in and everyone says, yeah, I love it, I want to buy it, and everyone gives them money and they tell them what size they want, and then the person who's placing the order goes to the vendor and the vendor submits it to us and it doesn't follow our guidelines. And now you've already got buy-in from all your fellow students and you've already taken money from them. And now we are in this awkward position where we don't want to, make a bad situation for you, but we want to make sure that everything follows guidelines. So what we're requesting is that if you're doing a fundraiser, that you come to us with anything that you want to order before you go out to anybody and request, that they buy in or purchase anything. Even if you have more than one design and you're not sure and you want to be able to share it with students to ask them which they prefer, we would need to approve, whatever you're doing, we need to approve first. Sorry, my phone is ringing. Okay. All right. And then what won't we approve? So we won't approve anything using any Stony Brook trademarks that are in connection with alcohol, illegal drugs, tobacco products, firearms, other weapons, anything that's racist, sexist, hateful, demeaning or degrading language or statements, profanity, sexual acts, or statements impugning other universities. So we really want to make sure that, you're representing Stony Brook. So all of those things, and really anything that is disparaging in any way to Stony Brook, we wouldn't approve. And we also wouldn't approve anything incorporating trademarks or copyrights that we don't own. So here are just a few samples. These are real things that came through licensing. There was a mug that we got for Oktoberfest, and it's very clearly a beer stein, and it's for Southampton Hospital. So that definitely isn't something that we would approve. And it's, alcohol related, and especially for a healthcare institution. And then that number 6 with the gun in it and the other CSGO, I don't know what that stands for, but we wouldn't approve something like that. Okay, some important basics to remember. So your design is going to be created using our official marks found in our retail style guide. And I'm going to show you where you can access our retail style guide. Our official marks shouldn't be combined with anything non-branded elements or designs. If you're creating a non-branded design, the logo should appear in a separate location on the item or the garment. So if you want to do a fun design that relates to, what your club is all about, Maybe you want to put that on the back and put the Stony Brook logo on the left chest, or you want to maybe put your design on the front and put the Stony Brook logo on the sleeve or on the back, but we don't want to combine our logo with these non-branded designs. And you can always feel free to run any of that by me and by Jamie to ask us if it meets requirements, and we can provide suggestions if it doesn't. You should be using brand colors for your designs, and I will show you our brand site where you can find our brand colors. And you should be using our brand fonts whenever possible for our designs. And you might not have access to them. If you have the Adobe programs, the Adobe Creative Suite, you will have access to our fonts. But if not, the vendor that you're using should have access to those fonts, and they could incorporate them. And lastly, it's really important that your item or garment is also in a brand color. So we've had people, again, like a fundraiser, someone ordered orange and purple and green shirts, and the logo was fine, but we don't allow our logo to be on a purple or green or orange shirt. So it's really important that it also, your garment or item is also using our brand colors. Okay, so for official clubs, if you are an official recognized club, we can create a standard mark for you. The one on the left has the Stony Brook shield, and it would say Stony Brook University at the top, and then the name of your organization or your club can be at the bottom, and we can create that for you. If you are a club that is related to athletics, the one on the right could be created. So where it says department here, we could put your program or club name, and you can reach out to me if you want help with that, or Jamie. Oops. Okay, so if you don't want to use those, these are some of the guidelines. So if you choose not to use either of the standard marks that I shared, you could create something on your own, but you cannot create anything with any of our official graphics or symbols for the university, and it can't contain any graphics or symbols that are even similar in any way to the university marks. So you can't create something unique and different for your club that uses any kind of shield or wolf. So if you look at the examples on the right, on the top one for the ballroom, we wouldn't approve putting a ballroom dancers inside of Wolfie's head, but the one below it, Stony Brook University Ballroom Dance Team, with the ballroom dancers knocked out of the Long Island and indicating where Stony Brook is, that would be okay. The top right one, where it says College Democrats, that has the star and the rays from our shield, and we wouldn't allow that to be combined with another graphic. So the one on the bottom, Stony Brook College Democrats, that would be approved. And just keep in mind, so this is blue. Normally we wouldn't approve blue, but because Democrats, there's a color that is associated with it. And, like say you were ordering something for breast cancer awareness, we would allow pink, but we make exceptions for when there's a color associated directly with what you're doing. So if you choose to create something on your own, you can use the word Stony Brook University, SB, SBU, and you should use our brand fonts and brand colors, as I mentioned before. Okay, so you're going to visit, this is a lot of information here. Visit the merchandising and licensing section of our brand site on stonybrook.edu/brand. I'm going to go past this and then go back to it because I feel like I don't know if this is linked. So I can take you there and show you around there a little bit. Okay, so that's the end. Okay. So Tokyo Dashi Wolfie is a licensed character, if you were wondering, and there are only certain vendors that can produce him that are licensed to produce items with Tokyo Dashi Wolfie. Here's my contact information. I'm going to escape out of this and I'm going to go to the brand site and take you around there a little bit. I don't know why it's not escaping. I don't want subtitles. I want to get out of here. Escape.
Maybe
Okay.
stop sharing and then try it. So let's
Yeah,
maybe
I
try
did
that.
it. Okay. All right. So let me just, I'm going to take you to, okay, so stonybrook.edu/brand. This is our brand site. There's lots of great information here. I'm not sure if it would be pertinent to anyone here, but things about
Karen,
content.
we don't see the website.
Oh, okay. Let me stop sharing and share again.
Okay.
I think I have to share. Okay. Thank you, Jamie. Okay, you can see that now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so there's lots of really great information here about our brand site. On our brand site, there's information about content, if you're creating content, if you have a social media account that you're running, for someone, for one of the departments in the university, editorial style guide. This is where you find everything related to our design and identity. There's information about our logos, our typography. So for instance, our logos, these are our primary logos in the red and black. This is our secondary logos with either all red, all black. This is called our red inverted with a red shield, or the all white. There are sub-brand logos, and we also create department logos. And this also talks about like the minimum size for anything that you're using. So if you were putting our logo on a pen or something, you would have to pay attention to this, because we want to make sure that the rays and the star in our shield don't close up. So we have a minimum size. And then we also have clear space that needs to be adhered to around our logos, and information on our colors. But I'm going to go here, our typography. This is where you'll see these are our brand fonts. I'll just go through this quickly. You've all seen our rays. This is information about our rays to show you all the options there. And let's see, merchandising licensing. Okay, so here, if you go here where it says vendors and you click here, that'll take you to the CLC site that I shared with you earlier. And this is our retail style guide that shows all the different logos that our licensed vendors have access to. This is information on Fair Labor Association. And then these FAQs would be really helpful to you. They kind of cover a lot of the things that we just talked about. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, okay, so I see, are there any websites that we can use for an online storefront? So there are some vendors that will do that. Jamie, are you familiar with who does that? I know that there are a few.
What exactly is that question?
Like where they'll create an online storefront. So if someone wants to order a few different products and allow students to go and look for a particular product. And Jade, tell me if is that what you're talking about? Like if you want to be able to offer a few different products to students and have them order online instead of going through you and ordering like specific items. Yes.
Yeah, one central area to go to.
Right. There are some vendors that do that. And if you want, we can look into that online storefront. I'll look into that.
One of them, I think one of them is called that color. I forgot what it's exactly called. The
Club Colors.
Yeah, Club Colors. Yeah,
Colors.
they do that. Yeah.
Okay. I think there's more than one that does that.
Yeah.
So I'll try and get a few names for you, Jade.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, so that would make it easier, so that you're saying that you don't want to have to take everyone's orders and their sizes, and you want them to be able to go on this website and they don't have to go through you and pay you and then you pay the vendor, right?
Yeah, and trying to constantly keep stock of items and things like that.
Right. Also, you could go to, Shop Red also has, they have an online presence, so you could, people could obviously also just order, if they're not custom items, they can order through Shop Red. Okay, and Anjali said, how would you approach club merchandise without the use of any of the Stony Brook logos? Would it just go through Campus Vine? I don't know what Campus Vine is. What is that?
Campus
Anjali?
Vine is the program that the undergraduate student government uses for budgeting and for financial things with clubs and orgs.
Okay. I don't know, but even if it, I mean, are you saying that it wouldn't even have a Stony Brook, the words Stony Brook or SB or SBU on it? It just has something like totally with nothing related to Stony Brook? Is that what you mean, Anjali? Yeah, if it has SBU, it would always have to go through a licensed vendor. I'm not sure if you could still pay for it through Campus Vine. I'm not sure how that works, but it would still have to follow this process for our trademark licensing program.
Yeah, Anjali, if you were looking for answers about Campus Vine, I would email the USG treasurer, which I will put the email in the chat.
And I find through licensing, it comes through even if it doesn't have anything with Stony Brook. If it says that it's a Stony Brook club or organization in the description, it automatically comes to us anyway. That's what I
And
find.
especially if
Yeah.
it's being paid for with Stony
Exactly.
Brook funds,
Yeah.
then, you know, it would still go through our licensing program. The things that are exempt, actually, just to let you know, are awards, signage, and
Uniforms.
uniforms. Thank you, Jamie. So if you were, you know, if you were ordering actual uniforms, it can't just be like, oh, we all want to wear these t-shirts. If it's an actual uniform, usually that's for departments and stuff like that, but and awards they're exempt. So they're exempt from paying royalties, but they're not exempt from going through the program. So we still want to make sure that the logos look good. We still want to make sure that the vendors that you're using are, you know, appropriate and following all the ethical guidelines that we uphold, but you wouldn't pay a royalty for something like that. Any other
For things like cords or like cord charms, where would that fall under? What category?
the cords, did you say?
Yeah, for like club members having a cord from being involved, and like stoles, I guess, too.
Do they come through licensing, Jamie? The cords for commencement and the stole?
Some have, but some haven't in the past. I know
Yeah.
that
I
they go
think
through the
that-
bookstore a lot.
Yeah, they're supposed to go through licensing.
Yeah.
I mean, the cords don't say anything on them. They're usually just colorful cords. So I guess they don't have to go through. But anything that has any writing on it and it's for Stony Brook would have to go through licensing. And that's
Now, sorry. Now what if it's like a small business owner, like it's something from like Etsy? Like, is there a way to get them approved?
yeah. So if you want to order something from a vendor that you can't get, if you can't get it from one of our licensed vendors, if they don't carry it, we will make an exception. So it would still kind of go through our process. We'd still want to review the art and everything, but we can make a one-time exception for that vendor. So say you're ordering something that you can only get from this person on Etsy. We would allow that, but we would have to review the art and make sure that it follows our guidelines.
Okay.
And it also, if there's a, you know, maybe there's a company, like there was someone that wanted to order socks one time and they knew somebody who made socks, but they weren't licensed. They can get licensed. You know, you go to the CLC website, clc.com, and they can, there's a place to go where it says become a licensed vendor, and they can click on that and fill out the application. They have to meet certain guidelines, but you know, someone can go, and if you really want to work with someone who you know that isn't licensed, they can go through that process. Okay. Anything else? Okay, I am going to share. I'll share with, actually, let me write your name down, Troy. with Troy and Mel. I'm going to share a PDF of this presentation. It has my contact information in it. And if anybody thinks of any questions, I'll also, in my email, I'll share Jamie's contact information as well. And you can reach out, usually if you have a question about licensing, if you actually copy both of us, that's the best way. So if, one of us is on vacation or in meetings or something, someone can get back to you. Okay. Any other questions, anybody? No? It was a pleasure meeting with you. Thank you for allowing us to do this and to share this presentation. We really love to be able to get the word out.
Yes, thank you both for joining us and for informing our students of this information. It's very helpful. If there's no more questions and everyone's good, I'm going to stop recording.